from the same place as trap music. This that first react music. They can't hold me back. I'm feeling good cause I'm black music. Can't nobody touch.
Good evening, happy Sunday, and welcome back to another episode of Cigar Sundays Live, where we define, examine, and analyze words, sayings, and phrases.
Peace, God.
At BKSOLFARM, and we are the Cigarden Panel. Peace, God.
Peace, God. Yo, you gotta redo the intro.
I gotta redo the whole intro.
Yeah, you gotta mute it like right when you started, like, or unless it was just me that just didn't have no sound at all. But I did see the muted mic joint on your side.
Oh, you know what? Well, then we'll run it back. We'll run it back like this. Run it back like Cook. Yeah.
I'm from the same place as trap music. This that first react music. They can't hold me back. I'm feeling good cause I'm black music. Can't nobody touch.
Happy Sunday, good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Cigar Sundays Live, where we define, examine, and analyze words, sayings, and phrases used in American culture. And tonight, we will be smoking on reasons, the reasons that we're here. So grab your thinking caps and get ready to smoke on words with two big nerds, myself, Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, and the God, Ali Dawood L at BKSOLFARM, and we are the Cigarden Panel. Peace, God. How you feeling?
Peace, God. Yo, you know we here. You know we dealing with it. Life is life, but we in it to win it, right? So every day it's a victory. What they say, I got the victory. I got the victory. Right?
Victory is mine.
Hell yeah,
victory is mine.
And that's the reason for the season, right? Victory.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes.
How about you, guys? How was your week?
You know, my week was peaceful, positive, and productive.
That's good.
Still to this day, right now, you know. Thankful as always to see another day, you know, and be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. So that's always the goal, always the plan. And that's where we stand on things. We got a lot going on out here. We got some flavor bombs, some good flavor bombs to get into this evening.
Word up.
And I got the shower sweats, you know, so bear with me, motherfucker. Lens is fogging up. But before we get into tonight's show, y'all, please make sure to smash that like button and also share this content, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. Also, head on over, y'all, to www.bksolfarm.com and pick up your copy of 1016 160 Self-Sustainability by that brother, our good brother right here, Ali Dawood L. The link is in the description. And also, right now, y'all, subscribe to DBCHEFTV and put your name in a hat to win $100 cash. We know it's crazy, it's, you know, money tight for a lot of folks out here. So, you know, we just trying to do something for those people who do something for us. Subscribe to the channel, put your name in a hat, supporting the content. We're going to give back. Also, we got merch, DBCHEFTV merch and BKSOLFARM merch. All the links in the description and the definitions and also the flavor bombs that we do, all those links in the description, because we may not play the whole video, so you can go over after the live and take of the whole video if you want to get more of an in-depth or, you know, develop your own opinion versus ours. So yeah, and like we always say, if money's tight, it's all right. We're gonna still love them if they do what, God?
Yo, hit that like. That's all you got to do, man. Hit that like.
Yes, indeed. So let's go ahead and jump into our questions for our smoke tonight. Reason. First house question: what do you think of when you hear the word reason? Let us know in the chat. We encourage everybody to exchange insights with these questions in the chat. Second tonight: are people naturally reasonable, or is reason something we learn? Okay, are people naturally reasonable, or is reason something we learn? All right. Then we said, third question: what is the difference between having a reason and making an excuse? Fourth, does social media encourage reasoned thinking or emotional reactions? And then our fifth and final last but never least question: is the word reason bad, good, or misunderstood? And you know what you got to do. You got to stick around to the end of the show for us to let you know what the Cigarden panel thinks. We answer the first question: what do you think of when you hear the word reason? And then we go to the dictionary and look at the definition. So, what do you think of when you hear the word reason? Comment along in the live chat, or you know, depending on when you're watching the show, comment below. The God Ali Dawood El at BKSOLFARM.
Peace, God.
Peace,
So,
God.
so the very first thing that I think of when I hear the word reason, I think of the why.
Why? Okay.
The why, like the why are we doing the thing? Why? What's the purpose? Like just the why. Like what's the reason for all this commotion? What's the reason for your success? What's the reason for your failures? What's the reason for your constant lesson? What? Why? 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 Right? If you answer the why, if you accept the realities of the why, right, you can do something about it. You know what I'm saying? If you so choose, right? The other thing that I think of when I think about reason is what you get from a conversation, like a bill, right? Like trying to I guess that's even when I think about it now out loud, or when I say it out loud, it kind of lends to the why, right? Because when two people reason, when they have a conversation, when they build, they're trying to get to the purpose of a thing. They're trying to get to a conclusion or some kind of goal, right? Something they can agree on. So if it's not the conversation itself, the thing that you hope to be the result of the conversation. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it for me. Like when I think about reason, I think about the why, and I think about I'm gonna just say the results of a conversation or the hopes of the result of the conversation. Because for me, it's like building.
Okay.
And because I don't do a lot of elevated conversations, like all my conversations are helpful, at least to me.
At least to you, right? You know, maybe not to the receiver of the conversation, because yeah, you know they with that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't drink player. What Money Mike say? You know, definitely, I feel you on that though, God. Okay, so we have the why, and we have the goal, the solution, those type of things.
Yeah.
Okay, for the reason. All right. I would think that the result, you know, I would think the result of of an action, or the reason for the action. So or maybe the cause of the action. That's what when I think of when I hear the word reason, it's like the cause of the action. Why did this get done? Why did this happen? You know, it's still to that why.
Yeah.
But it is, but to me, it's like the cause. You know, the cause. It is the catalyst thing. You know, the beginning, the purpose. You know, isn't that how we start science project? What's the purpose?
What's the purpose? Like, why are we doing this?
The purpose.
The purpose, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. That's what I think of when I hear the word reason. You know, it's purpose. And once again, like we always ask that because you sent me a clip from I'm gonna call him brother Dr. Lamont Hill, you know, because he is a brother. That's you true. Know, he is a doctor, and
Lamont Hill.
You know, and I respect his journey and what he's had to go through to reach that level, you know, of education and
all facts.
Yeah, so you know, it's never no shade, but I can disagree without putting my feelings into the conversation.
Correct.
And he was having a conversation. It was a clip online, and they were saying how he was having a discussion with another brother. Not sure who that brother was, but shout out to him too. And in their conversation, they were discussing how the meaning of words has more value than the definition. Like, like why go to the definition when, you know, when the meanings are being applied more. Okay, we see the different meanings being applied more, and they said they had this one thing where they said that the definition is like it's old. The definition is old.
Oh, I remember that now. Yeah.
Definition is old. The meanings are what the people create, and the definition can't keep up with the meanings.
Definition can't keep up with the meanings. Yeah.
So, you know, so I would love if we were able to chat with Dr. Lamont Hill or get him on the show or something like that. Just to have dialogue and exchange insights on that particular perspective because like as a doctor, I don't know what he's a doctor of, but I'm thinking that, you know, if it's any type of medicine, if it's any type of psychology, like there is a dictionary that these words have, and they're supposed to be applied directly and specifically for that purpose. So if you read a meaning, you know,
like maybe y'all like the word dictionary about a glossary.
Yeah, you know.
It's the whole thing. Yeah, dictionary is the thing, man. I don't get it.
So that would be my argument in that debate, you know, and in trying to understand his position from their conversation, because from my perspective, the meanings are the problem.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's so difficult. Communication is so difficult amongst the culture because everybody has a different meaning for a thing. And we have no
understand what we're saying to each other.
You know, and that's where those things like you know what I'm saying? Or well, not that one. You know what I mean? Or you know what I was trying to say. Well, you know what I meant. You know what I meant to say, or you know what I was trying to say. And people get offended when they say, no, I don't know. I know what you said. And I need understand. I need to comprehend, because I don't comprehend that. They get offended, like you supposed to just automatically figure out what they meant. But because what do we say, colloquially, you know, for people that don't know what that is, this is a show about words. Go look it up. More commonly, all right, because I think people get offended by that. I ain't common, I ain't regular. Like, go look up regular. You know, but we have difficulty in communication because we don't agree. We don't have a place to meet. We don't have a meeting point. And I'm under the impression that it's because we don't research the definition of how these words are to be applied, and we don't understand them. We don't have full comprehension. You know, and I say that when I say we, I'm talking about myself too. You know, so for those insecure people that may be listening, talking about what he talking about, people and all this. No, I'm talking about us. I'm talking about me too. That's the reason why me and the God Ali do this show, because we say we not perfect. All right. And we trying to figure this thing out too, because there are narratives like that with Dr. Lamont Hill was expressing in that clip, where if a person socially, you know, like we do this thing socially too, where it's like, oh, they a doctor, so they must be smart, you know, and it's like, so what are you?
Not even just smart, but right. You know what, God, I wouldn't even want to have a debate on that perspective or on that topic, but I would like a conversation just to understand, right? To exchange understandings for real, because as like I'm listening to what you're saying, and as a PhD, if he's that kind of doctor or medical doctor, either way, right? Like there's processes and things that you have to put in order, right? So you have to use the standard naming convention for things and for procedures and for.
Is he an attorney?
Like you got to use like.
Is he an attorney? He might be an attorney. He may be an attorney.
I don't know. Like I do know that he knows the importance of using common language when trying to get a point across, right? And to his point, like, and I would even argue that it wouldn't, even though that colloquially is used more.
Okay,
right?
so he's okay. So he's a professor of urban education. So that's like a doctorate in Black studies.
How you get that? Just
like he went to see SUNY, NYC. Yeah, he went to SUNY. So,
but doc, I wonder what he discovered, because don't doctors, when they do they thesis, they gotta like have like a new discovery or like a new perspective, or
I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know, God. Like at the end of the day, I know. You know, I'm looking at his activism and stuff like that. You know, that's why I say the brother sharp. You know, like as far as what he doing. You know, but that's one of them things. Like I was having a conversation the other day on Brunch Fellas, where like I don't necessarily at all, you know, follow what people say. You know, like and people get their hopes up with stuff when people say stuff, because people are liars. You know, so they'll say stuff, they tell you to your face, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, and then they lie. You know, like when they don't do it, then you calling them a liar is exposing them. You saying you didn't do it, it's like, no, like I'm telling them, like, what was I supposed to say? Oh, you just hadn't done it yet, or what? Oh yeah, well I was gonna get to it, but you know, so why didn't you just tell me, set a date? Like I'm gonna do it, but I need to do this, this, and this so I could do it then. Then if you still didn't make that deadline, then you still that you said, not that I said, that you said your words, you know. But people don't keep, I don't know, people don't value their own words. So it's like, why should I value it? You know, because I don't know, I keep my word with stuff. So sometimes to my own detriment. But yeah, Dr. Lamont Hill, he said that, and I just thought that that was uniquely confusing. Growing up, having friends, socializing, being in conversations, arguments, debates, communication, different types of communication with people. And when you have something that breaks down and the communication breaks down, and you realize, like, okay, it's because we don't have a defined commonality. You know, you saying something, but you mean in this, you're not being articulate or direct enough. And when we say articulate, we're not just talking about the enunciation of your words. You know, I think that's a lot of people get that articulate thing, and they, you know, and people get scared of that. I don't know what's that with Black culture either, where people say, I don't have to talk proper. Like that's wild to me too, that like you want your children to be able to communicate and do well and be able to communicate and get a good job or have a career or be successful. But then, you know, we can come home and it's ninja. Like, so I don't get that. I don't get why it's good in one place, but it's not good to practice on a regular basis, why we don't encourage.
Yeah, but the reason for that is plantation thinking.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, those folks still definitely on the plantation.
Like they got a whole mind control that they still up under, right? So that's what that is.
Definitely. So y'all let us know what y'all think when you hear the word reason. You know, let us know in the chat or in the comment section below. And if you know Dr. Lamont Hill, holler at him so we can get him on the show. So let's bring up the definition for reason. And we are going to the Merriam-Webster dictionary right here. We have reason as a noun and a verb. So it is a person, place, a thing, and is actionable. So as a noun, we see a statement offered in explanation or justification, a reason. Then we have 1B, a rational ground or motive. A rational ground or motive. Okay, then we see 1C, we have the thing that makes some fact intelligible, the cause. Okay. Then we see D, a sufficient ground of explanation or of logical defense. Logical. All right. Then we have 2A, the power of comprehending, inferring, or thinking, especially in orderly, rational ways. Intelligence. Rational ways. Okay, proper. Then we have 2A, we have proper exercise of the mind. Then we have 2-3, sanity. Then we have 2B, the sum of intellectual powers. Then we have 3, treatment that affords satisfaction. Okay, then let's go look at reason as a verb. We have verb, we have reasoned or reasoning. 1, to use the faculty of reason so as to arrive at conclusions. Okay. 2A, to talk with another so as to influence actions or opinions. Then we have 2B, which they say is obsolete, to take part in conversation, discussion, or argument. All right. Then we have it as a transitive verb, to discover, formulate, or conclude by the use of reason. 2, to persuade or influence by the use of reason. And then 3, which is archaic, also to justify or support with reasons. Any of these you want to touch on before we go to the thesaurus and see what they give us in the form of synonyms?
Nah, God, like for me, all that was what we was talking about, and
so we had some meanings kind of correct. We
you know, but and that's
I mean?
like they was kind of almost like spot on, right? And that's kind of what my problem is a little bit with the meanings being more valuable or being more impactful because the people use them more, right? Because if everybody using them wrong or using them differently, not using them wrong, but using them differently,
Differently.
Then yeah, they are more impactful, but more impactful in a negative way.
That's right.
Right. And it's lazy to simply go by the reason, because everything that we read for the noun and for the verb, like all that requires work, right? You gotta be honest, right, to get to the ground truth or why did you mess up? Why did you succeed? Right? Like are you right in this conversation, or are you just bumping your gums?
looking for some people to stand with you in wrong, willing to lead people off the side of the bridge.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they dumb enough to go jump with your dumb ass.
So reason requires effort, right? It requires desire and willpower, right? Because it's all thinking and honest thinking, right?
It's all
Even
honest thinking,
right? Like,
and intelligible,
yeah.
like we see that, and logical. All of these things that I'm looking at don't have anything to do with a lack of integrity when it comes to reason.
No. Sanity.
It's sanity, like intellect, the sum of the proper exercise of the mind.
Like, come on, son. Like,
that sound like following rules. That sound like, making a plan, sticking to. That sound like discipline. It don't sound a treatment that affords satisfaction. It affords satisfaction for everybody, especially the person that's implementing it. Because what we see is, like, to Dr. Lamont Hill's point in that clip. I'm gonna see if I can bring that up. People will say, well, the reason I did something is because, and it was totally negative. I don't like this, or I don't like that, or because I felt like it, or because, just nothing that offers anything intelligent.
Yeah, because it's not really the right reason, right? Because a lot of, like, because I felt like it. And then you're like, why'd you feel like it?
Right. Then you ask, well, feel like that. Now explain your feelings.
You know what I'm saying? Right? Like you still got to get to the reason why you did that. And it wasn't just because you felt like it. Right?
Yeah, because that's not sane.
It's not sane.
That's not sane. And if people aren't sane, then they need to share that with people, so then you can have compassion. Like, that's how I look at that. Like, if you are a person that
that's facts,
that is that is dealing with some type of mental disability, then share that so a person can understand and not think that it is that your reasons are not with negative purpose, you know, or with negative intent. That's I guess that would be correct. Like, you know, because the outcome will be negative. But
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're doing, like, then, you know, it's fair to be like, this person has no idea the consequence of their actions,
Correct.
you know. So you can't treat them the same as you would as somebody that knows, that, you know, that actually knows the difference between right or wrong, because you can't hold that person accountable as the same. They have something mentally that prevents them from understanding that, you know. So they give us reason in a thesaurus of explanation, motive, excuse, cause, sense, mind, reasoning, and in verb form as to understand and as in to argue. So let's go through these as quick as we can, because it's a lot of them. We got as an explanation, a statement given to explain a belief or act. Explanation, argument, justification, rationale, case, accounting, excuse, apology, account, appeal, defense, plea, vindication, pretext, alibi, rationalization, pretense, apologia, and guise. Then we have motive, something as a belief that serves as the basis for another thing. Motive, why? That we were talking about why earlier. Grounds, cause, we were talking about cause. Subject, I think we said subject. Authority, impetus, consideration. Wherefore, consideration, right? Wherefore, incentive, account, inspiration, occasion, stimulus. Help me with that one, God. I don't know that
Antecedent.
one. And antecedent. Okay. And instigation. When I say instigation, ain't no J. Instigation. Okay. Then we have reason as an excuse, an explanation that frees one from fault or blame. Excuse, justification, plea, apology. Defense, alibi, rationale, pretext, rationalization, vindication, out, pretense, confession, acknowledgement, guise, color, whitewash, cop out, atonement, extenuation, and palliation.
Palliation, yeah.
Palliation. Okay. Okay.
Frees you from blame or fault.
Frees you from blame or fault. Yep. I give you an example, God. I'll give you an example. So I had a situation, right, with some where I was minding my business and it was some animals, and I thought that, you know what I'm saying, they shocked me, right? When they ran up on me. Because typically as a pet owner, and me, I've owned pets before, you don't let people just come up to your dogs. You ask people, like, isn't that proper? That's the proper way, right? I thought, I mean, maybe it's changed since back in the day.
Yeah,
but
a dog.
Yeah, but you don't just let your dogs run up on people, and you don't let people just touch your animal without them asking first, without there being a conversation with the owner, right?
Correct.
So you don't let the dog just go and they just trying to sniff a person out or do some dog shit, like, you know, like, no, like, that's why you the owner and you're in charge, right?
Correct.
I mean, let me know.
Nah, you right.
Okay. So like you know, so like I swung this thing to shoot the dogs and I accidentally hit one, right? So I apologized, right? So I look at it as I look at that situation, in this situation, like an explanation that frees one from fault or blame. I took accountability and I apologized, right? Because it wasn't on purpose. You know, had I not reacted that way, then it wouldn't have happened. And that's the reason why I apologize, because I took accountability for me first.
Correct.
You know, because had I just I should have just let myself get bit for real, you know, if that's what would have happened, right?
lawsuit and whatnot, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I could have went that direction, you know.
It'll
But
hurt more.
yeah, hell yeah, like I'm on medication. I ain't trying to get bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to get bit by nothing. I don't even want a mosquito bite. You know, but for real, but that's where I put that, you know, where it says, okay, the reason, right? So what was the reason? Was that logical? What I thought I was doing was shooing? Yes, I thought I was doing something logical. Did I thought it would have a good outcome? Yes, because it would intimidate the animal from wanting to be in that area. Okay.
Correct.
And I thought it would protect me from possibly getting bit. Right. So therefore, when you realize, you know, when I realized that the animal had got hurt, you know, I was saddened by that. Like, damn, that wasn't my intent, you know? So I apologized. So to me, that freed me from fault or blame. And then also in that same situation, like, you know, the law enforcement officer said the animal shouldn't have been that close to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because it's rules and stuff in place anyway.
Hell yeah.
You know, so
that's what the leash is for.
Yeah, you know, that's a whole nother, you know, that's a whole nother story. But I get that reason and that excuse, you know, but we'll get to some other stuff later. But 4, as in cause, someone or something responsible for a result, cause, determinant, casualty, source, causation, antecedent. All right. Occasion, consideration, factor, impetus, incentive, mother, origin, stimulus, instigation,
yeah.
Spring, inspiration, be all and end all. Be all and end all. Okay. The root or root, wherever you're from, well, you know. And then the alpha and omega.
The cause, alpha and omega.
Alpha and omega. Yeah, but they say he is the reason, the alpha and omega. Praise Jesus. It's Sunday. Amen. All right. So then we got as in sense, the ability to learn and understand or to deal with problems. Sense. When they will be saying you ain't got no good sense. Right? Because you don't learn unless you bump your head. You got to keep, you want them folk that got to keep on bumping your head, doing the same thing, thinking you're going to get a different result, thinking something different going to happen. Nope, the same thing going to happen. And it's probably just going to get worse and worse and worse. Intellect, intelligence, brains, gray matter, talent, mentality, intellectuality, aptitude, brain power, mind, insight, smarts, wisdom. That's our word next week, y'all. We doing wisdom. Headpiece, perception, brilliance, apprehension, judgment, intellectualism, discernment. I love discernment. Common sense. We did that, right? Horse sense, acumen. What's that one, God? Percipience. Astuteness, perspacity. I think we had that word before. Is that right?
Perspiracity. No, that's not perspiracity. What is that?
I don't know. I give up. We're gonna come back to that. We'll come back to that one though, because you know, because it got us stumped. And when we get stumped, we get over the hump. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna come back to that though. Remind me to come back to the in sense, guys, so we can get through all of these words. Gotcha. Alertness, eggheadedness. I heard that. I used to call people that and was called that in my younger days. Mother wit, never seen that one. Sagacity, discriminability.
Yes, discriminability.
Okay, braininess, highbrowism, heard of that. Skull, sapience, and head. Then we have reason as in mind, the normal or healthy condition of mental abilities. Mind, sanity, sense, head, saneness, health, marbles, daylight, rationality, wit, reasonableness, healthfulness, soundness, healthiness, clear-headedness, wholesomeness, normalcy, lucidity, normality, wisdom, and lucidness. Then we have reason as in reasoning, the thought processes that have been established as leading to valid solutions to problems. The thought processes that have been established as leading to valid solutions to problems. Reasoning, logic, sense. What's that? Logicality?
Yeah.
Logicality, argumentation, localness,
No,
intellection, intellection.
Yeah. Intellexia. Maybe it's Italian. I don't know.
Intellection. I don't know the ratio. Ratiocination. Rationality, coherence, analysis, persuasiveness, synthesis, cogency, cogency. Okay. Cogency, deduction, syllogism, dissection, what's that one? Convincingness. Okay. Rationalness, induction, and disputation. That's in reasoning. That's why, okay, I see why reasoning gets a little complicated.
It's a lot to think.
You know, I see why it gets a little complicated when you start
sound these things out.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have verb, reason, and verb form is a synonym as to understand, to form an opinion or reach a conclusion through reasoning and information. Understand, derive, decide, think, guess, conclude, infer, deduce, assume, speculate, judge, suppose, extrapolate, make out, ascertain, read, surmise, draw a conclusion, gather, contemplate, interpret, rationalize, conjecture, construe, find out, philosophize. That's not it. That's a word we made. Philosophize, and the dope out. Dope out.
That's interesting.
That is, because I've only heard dope out like somebody doped out.
Yeah, that's it.
In a negative. I only heard that used in, you know, he doped out, she doped out, you know. I mean, and I'm talking about for the worst type of people. That ain't even like somebody high. You know. Okay, so then as in to argue, to state something as a reason in support of or against something under consideration. To argue, contend, plead, explain, convince, justify, mention, insist, maintain, assert, claim, suggest, persuade, consider, cite, propose, urge, affirm, advise, recommend, discuss, offer, defend, enforce, submit, give, adduce, advocate, rationalize, advance, counsel, refute, avow, aver, debate, support, disprove, rebut, counter, espouse, avouch, champion, confute. All right.
I guess really just one word we couldn't say.
And we have
it's really just the one word.
This word right here. Perspicacity. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Perspicacity. Okay. All right. And it is the quality or state of being perspicacious, which helps none.
No, it was so unhelpful. They didn't even give you like the little sound thing that this is how you say it. They didn't even give you that.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
of acute mental vision or discernment. Okay, King. There we go.
Okay.
Perspicacious. Okay. Of acute
Okay.
mental vision or discernment. Okay. So yeah, so that's not bad right there. And then we'll go back. Let's go back. And let's take it right here to reason. All right. The definition of reason, a statement offered an explanation or justification, a rational ground or motive, the thing that makes some fact intelligible, the cause, a sufficient ground of explanation or of logical defense, the power of comprehending, inferring, and thinking, especially in orderly, rational ways, intelligence, proper exercise of the mind, sanity, the sum of intellectual powers, treatment that affords satisfaction. Okay, then we have to use the faculty of reason so as to arrive at a conclusion, to talk with another so as to influence actions or opinions, to take part in conversation, discussion, or argument. Okay, and I like the fact that they put this to take part in conversation, discussion, or argument because because what a lot of people don't realize is that when you go to court, they hear arguments, right?
All day long.
All right. They don't call it a conversation. They don't call it a discussion. So in a social setting, an argument is when people get loud. Okay. Not, and I'm talking about negatively loud, not when it's just some brothers and they hype, oh nah, man, Jordan with dog, you know, Wimby in a one-on-one, or like, man, you tripping, like none of that. That's just a loud, fun conversation. That's just having a passionate discussion, right? That's not an argument, but it is too. Okay. But remember what Dr. Lamont Hill was saying with the meanings, right? Most of the time, what is it? I'm not arguing with you about that because there's some negative in there, right? There isn't positive conversation. There isn't positive discussion. There isn't, hey, what's going on here? What, like where we at? Because, I'm trying to get to a certain place. I want us to both be there, but I don't want it to get to an argument. I don't want it to get to nothing nasty, nothing negative, and then people call you out your name, but then they can't, you know what I'm saying? And then they be mad at everything else that happened after that, and take no accountability for their part, where prior to that, nobody ever disrespected a person. It was all love. It was all, hey, can I use this? Sure. Use my stuff. You know what I'm saying? But then, so I don't get the how treatment that affords satisfaction, how a person could correlate that treatment would afford the other person some satisfaction. So then we have to discover, formulate, and conclude by the use of reason. And then we have to persuade or influence by the use of reason, and to justify or support with reasons. And that is the definition for reason. So let us know what y'all think about the definition of reason in the comment section. And we're going to go ahead and jump to our next question. Are people naturally reasonable, or is reason something we learn? Let us know what y'all think in the chat. What you say, God?
I think that's an interesting question. To answer the first part, because I see that as two different questions, right? So to answer the first part of the question, Are people naturally reasonable? No. Is reason something that we learn? No. I think reasonableness is learned. I think we are born with desire, and that desire is the reason. Right? Babies want what they want. Children, as we grow, want what we want. Adults want what we want, and it's not always the right thing or the proper thing, or the most socially acceptable thing. But there's 100% reason or why for an action that we're about to commit, even if it is negative to ourselves or other people. And that is not reasonable, even though it is the reason. Right. So I do think that reasonableness is something that needs to be learned. Or no, it's something that is learned. And we just happen to live in a society where reasonableness is looked at as softness, as weakness, in some form, in some instances as a form of cowardice, right? Because you might have decided not to walk away or turn the other cheek or whatever, right? Like we live in a society where if you can make a reason, if you can justify, and if you can win the argument, if you talk the loudest, if you're not scared to make the biggest scene.
Say that again, God, because I swear that's what it seemed like. People be thinking because they loud that they right.
Yeah, because if they're talking to a reasonable person, the reasonable person will remove themselves from that conversation.
They might, and on the right day, they might say, "Okay, I got time to entertain this BS today."
But they're not being reasonable,
right? But they also would say, "This the last time you will be able to talk to me like that." You know,
that's true.
You're gonna have to. Because I ain't never disrespected you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I ain't did nothing but help you. So if you're gonna talk to me like that, then at least if you want to talk to me again, all right, then there needs to be a mutual level of respect. You know what I'm saying? Because
I think, and I be thinking that that's why I say, like, those people, like, when they talk loud in their mind, if you walk away, that means you concede. That means that
but see, I know that though, God.
Like, that means
I
they
know
was
that.
right. That means they was right.
I grew up in the hood too. You know what I'm saying?
In a way, they might not have been right about the whole thing, but they was right about something.
Especially if you ain't gonna punch them in their face. You know what I'm saying?
If you're not gonna punch them in their
face. If you're not gonna punch them in their face and you just turn around and walk away, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I can handle that." But you know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man, like don't try.
Don't try.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I got to destroy you just to make you realize that.
No, you don't even have to destroy. You don't see. That was the old me. The old me would have said, "Okay, I got something for you." You know what I'm saying? But I changed my life when I joined the military. So I ain't thinking, I ain't trying to be who I was. You see what I'm saying, God?
Word up.
I ain't trying to be who I was. Like, I'm happy with who I become and all of the adversity and everything that allowed me to get there, you know? And I'm not trying to figure out who I am still.
Nah,
you know?
A lot about that.
So yeah, but people do that though, God. People do that. It's wild to me that that's part of the culture now, where people think because they loud, they right. You know, so like getting loud is gonna make you right. No, now you just loud and wrong.
I think I think that's so if they talking to another ninja, right? Then the hope is that the loudness is going to escalate to physical violence, and in their mind, they could beat this person. Like, both people are thinking they could beat the person. So whoever wins the fight was right. Right. So at the end of the day, it ain't about reasoning. Whoever wins was right.
So whoever, and that, okay, so do you think that that applies to men and women in domestic violence? Or is that just two, or is that just two masculine energies or two feminine energies?
Nah, I think that's domestic violence as well, right? I think that's not limited to anything like that. Like it's
Cause see, I think when I see stuff like that, I think that women who do that, I think they okay with getting their ass kicked by a dude, you know, because it's not ladylike. You know what I'm saying? Like I
see, and that so
you know, so they tough girls, you know what I'm saying? So they don't mind, because you're not gonna beat no dude, you know what I'm saying? Like you might be the you might be
we're talking about this.
it might be some dudes you could beat, you know what I'm saying? But I used to box, so like, and like I said, I got beat up by two girls in my life because I never hit a girl, you know, and I was young.
Yeah.
I was young. I got my squeeze on, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah,
and I grew up in a domestic violence household, so I got a certain perspective and understanding, and I'm sensitive to the fact that other people have different sensitivities when it comes to the subject, right? And I don't necessarily want to say the wrong thing based off my own experiences and observations throughout my life, right? Because what I've seen,
I mean, but we both agree men should not hit women.
100%.
Yeah, we both agree. Like
at the same time, we also both agree that everybody should defend themselves when being attacked and assaulted.
Oh, but I don't know though, God. Like, see, like me, God, like I'd rather at this age, like I'm pressing charges. You know what I'm saying? I ain't part of no street code.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, like you hit me, you going to jail. Ain't no pressing charges.
That's the same. That's the same thing to me, right? Like it ain't like the days of because
that's not the same to me.
To me, right? So it is, right? Because the days of because a female hit a male, it don't count as assault is, to me, is incorrect, right? Like that's like those days are over. Like you know, sugar and spice and everything nice. Like the jig is up, right? Like and that's what I mean, right? Like because a lot of guys was not calling and reported domestic violence.
Oh,
right?
I know some.
All right. A lot of guys do call, and when they do call, the conversation from the other side is like, "You sure? Like, you really calling about that? Like, you serious?
Yeah.
Right? No. Like a lot of men are degraded for seeking help, so therefore they don't seek help until they forced to get help because they done crashed out. Right.
Yeah, that's cool. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's a lot that help has to do with, you know, how they feel about their mama, how they feel about their sisters, how they feel about their aunts and all that stuff. You know,
all that.
Now, I was just raised not to put my hands on no girl like that. You know, like if I ain't touching you to love on you or to hug you, you know what I'm saying? Like then you keep your hands to yourself. You know,
I was raised to know that if we gotta go there, then it's time for me to go.
Yeah, and see, and I got some cousins that's from the Slapper Woe tribe. You know what I'm saying? That I done seen them put chicks in the bushes. You know, like
that's what I'm saying. I done seen a lot. I done seen
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like, did you have to do her that dirty? You know? So, you know, but that don't mean that that's something that I wanted to you know, model myself after. You know, I still didn't agree with that. I still didn't take those examples and look at it like, oh, well, yeah, I could do that too. Like, nah. You know, plus I always deal with nice girls. I don't deal with ratchets. Never. That's Juicy J. He say no to Juicy J can't say no to ratchet. So smash that like button, y'all. If y'all rocking with us, we are answering the question, our second question of the evening, and smoking on reasons. Are people naturally reasonable, or is reason something we learn? Man, I know that everything is learned behavior,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know what it is that, except for personal choice. Let me not say that I don't know what it is. I'm defining it. Personal choice. I think it's just personal choice when you see these examples of things and you disagree with them. Even if people that you love are doing it, you know, you say, I'm not going to do that. So I think that because um, we aren't, you know, that we aren't born with that, you know,
Correct.
like humans aren't born with rationale or logic. You know, I think innately, you know, don't unalive your parents, you know, but in this world we've seen humans that have clearly, you know, that they missed that gene. They didn't get that gene. So so even that's questionable. But I would say that, but they had to learn that hatred from somewhere. They had to learn something. Something happened in the household that, you know, or something happened in that person's life where they saw it and they felt that it was okay for them to do it because they seen somebody else do it and get away with it.
Mm.
You know, so
Oh, that's powerful.
you know, so yeah, I think we learn. I think we learn things, and then it's our own personal choice when we decide what we are going to follow and what we're not going to follow. And that's that's even if you have done it before, you know, even if you have done something like that or whatever it may be, you know, it don't just have to be assaulting a woman, it could be assaulting anybody, you know. And you learn from your mistake and you say, okay, I don't like the way I felt about that, you know. Of course, you're taking into consideration how the other person may have felt because, damn, if it was a girl, damn, she got beat up by a guy. You know, she may have seen her mama getting a foot put in her hind parts by somebody and thought that that was cool, thought that that was functional behavior. And like I said, I had dated somebody who told me before, like, if a man don't beat and you don't do come outside himself, that's what she say. If a man don't come outside himself, then he don't really love you. And I was disappointed. I was like, Dad, like,
I
I
know
know I know I'm not gonna marry you, and I
those.
know I'm not gonna be intimate with you no more and mess around and let my little head make a bum out me or dummy out me because
Crazy.
you would give that to my daughter, you know. So I can't even trust lust with you no more, you know, because I don't want them bad. I don't condone none of that, you know, and that's law, and that's more important to me than how much money you make or your level of education or how fly you is and all that. Nah, if some moral things where it's just like I know somebody put that I know me, you know, and how I would respond if you know if my child was in danger, you know. So can't put myself in that situation. But but yeah, God, I think it's something we learn like all our other learned behaviors. Moving on to our third question. What is the difference between having a reason and making an excuse? Let us know what y'all think in the comment section, in the chat, or the comment section below, depending on when you're watching the show.
So before tonight, guy, I used to think that there was a difference, and one was excusable or let you off the hook, so to speak. But looking at the definition in the thesaurus, um, excuse is used in both in describing um, the attributes of reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'll have to change that, right? And recognize that a bad excuse or a poor excuse, or I don't know, right? Like because that said to get out of fault or blame.
Right.
It just didn't say, which was what threw me off a little bit, because I saw the word confession on it, right? And confession threw me off with get off of fault or blame, because you can confess to the crime and you might feel better on the inside. What you about to get all that time? Like, still, like you're 100% saying this
even
is my
the
fault.
cop out, even the
Yeah,
cop out.
even the cop out, right? Like,
Yeah, even the cop out. Yeah.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit, but at the same time, it is to present closure and to close it all out, right? So yeah, they one and the same, right? Like they it's getting to the answer, right?
It's getting to the answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't, like, I think now what I'm seeing is not real reasons, or that's not the real reason. Like, again, going back to what you said earlier about I did it because I wanted to. Like, nah, that's being lazy. That's a lazy excuse, because that's not the real reason. Right? I think that's what we get a lot of. We get a lot of lazy excuses and not real reasons. Right? People don't go back and go to the impetus.
Yeah, they don't go back to the beginning to look at where they went wrong.
Correct. Like what is the real thing that got me doing this thing or feeling this way about this thing?
Right.
And,
they won't take accountability. That's what we see, a lack of accountability for people.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I think, right? I think we got a lot of lazy excuses, but in truth, after tonight, I see them as being the same.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with it too. You know, it gave an example. It said, "What reason do you have for being in such a bad mood?" And that's where, you know, that goes into that why question that we talked about earlier. So when we asking our reason and excuse the same, are they different? You know, they give you the why. Now, it does say reason specifically as an excuse is an explanation that frees one from fault or blame. Okay. And that's where I was given, you know, where I gave my story and explained where, like, I didn't, you know, like, I mean, somebody would say they didn't want to press charges, right? But the law enforcement officer said that there wasn't no charges because the explanation freed from the fault or blame, because it was dual blame.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the reason. Oh, it was an accident. I didn't know. Is there anything I could do? You know what I'm saying? Officer told me no. Right. So that's from fault or blame when we see as an excuse. But when we see excuses, though,
yeah,
remember we did excuses.
Yeah, we did excuses.
You know, but when we did excuse, though, you know, we saw that excuse could be negative or positive, and that goes to that lazy thing that you was just talking about, where you could have people who the lazy part is people making excuses because they don't have a reason or an explanation that frees them from fault or blame.
Because they're guilty as shit.
Because they're guilty. You know, and then they feel like they exposed because now that truth is exposes the guilt, you know, because that's the truth. It's not a lie. You know, so a positive excuse, though, is like the one we commonly refer to if you in class and if you you know, were at school and you missed a day of school because you had a doctor's appointment. Okay, you brought your doctor's note. You know, so you're properly excused. You can get your homework, you can get your lesson for the day and carry on. right? So that's what I think the difference is. I think that there's a difference. I know excuse is used as a synonym, that which we just learned tonight, you know, but when I look at like application of it, you know, because I think one of the words is pretext, rationalization, and then we talked about what confession, and even we saw like atonement, right? So atonement is only there from an apology, you know. And that is how one atones. You know, remember the Million Man March?
Yeah.
That was the theme, was a day of atonement.
Yeah.
Okay. So that frees one from saying, or from feeling like, and in correlation to the Million Man March, it was like, your conditions are not your fault. Don't blame yourself. Okay. But then we ain't get no instruction. You know what I'm saying? So
we just supposed to know we're supposed to do something better.
You know, it's like, you gonna tell us who the blame is and who fault it was. Like, we already knew that. That's why we showed up, Minister Farrakhan. But you know what I'm saying? It's cool. But yeah, but I think that's where I think you know, that's where, when we look at the reason, I think that they're two different. I just think that that's what makes it confusion, because, you know, I don't need no reason. I don't need no excuse. I just don't care, right? I don't need no reason. I don't need no excuse. I don't need to justify myself, right?
Yo, God, you made me remember about when we did it, and it's the positive and negative. And when you reread is an excuse to free you of is an excuse, right? It's actually a positive excuse, is what it's saying, because there is a negative side of excuses.
Is it absolutely a negative side?
Right. So yeah.
Because the negative side of excuse is a lack of accountability.
Correct.
You know, and then reason, you are holding yourself accountable.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, you're saying like, hey, you know, I'm confessing. You know, here's my part. Here's what I did. This is what happened. That's an acknowledgement, you know. And then that acknowledgement, if you acknowledge that you was wrong, then that's why you apologize. You know what I'm saying? But you had to look at your actions. You have to look at yourself and acknowledge the fact that, you know what, I could have handled something differently. You know, unless you were intentional. You know what I'm saying? Unless you did it intentionally. So your goal was to be nasty, rude, mean, disrespectful, you know, cause some type of chaos, because that was your intent. That was your intent. You know, if that's not a person's intent, then what do? They acknowledge it, they atone, right? So I think that they're different.
Yeah, I agree now.
Yeah, I think that they're different because of those things. So moving on to our fourth question, y'all. Does social media encourage reasoned thinking or emotional reactions? And y'all let us know what y'all think about that third question in the chat or in the comment section below, depending on when you're watching the show. Does social media encourage reasoned thinking or emotional reactions? What you say, God?
Emotional reactions under the guise of reasoned thinking, right? Like, social media give you enough content and in a short amount of time where a person could capture it, process it, think they understand it enough to be able to regurgitate it with their own little with what they think their own little spin is, but it's really just a repeat of the personality worship or the personality type that they are influenced by, right? And it's a culmination of those thoughts and voices, and it just become like a group think. type situation, right? And in my understanding of a group think situation, that is meant to be is very logical and purposeful, but it's meant to capture a vibe or a moment to make everybody feel a certain way, to think a certain way, right? So to me, that's real. That's more emotional than cerebral in application. Um, so that's what I think. I think social media plays on our emotions and make us think in our feelings and act in our feelings, because it makes us feel like we need to act now. We need to post content now. We need to stay relevant now. And while we are feeling and processing our feelings, thinking about our feelings, and acting out our feelings at the exact same time, it's all being exposed and shown to the world in real time, live, right? And that is becoming normalized, and nobody's actually seeing a person process, go away, take the time to process and come back better and explain what they did to be better. Because that's what's important. We, like, social media has got us to want to see them cry in the corner. You know, you heard Cox tonight, girl cheated on him again, right? Hey, did you see him cry? Hey, you know, he made a deal with the devil, so he cried blood. You know, you got to go back and you got to go watch and see. You know, him. It's all about clicks and making the algorithm keep on algorithm, right? And whatever the people will gravitate towards to make them click on it or do a double take, like that is what social media is counting on, the double take effect, right? And it's just like a song on a radio that you hate, that you think is a trash ass song, that get played all the time, right? If you're an avid radio listener, you'll go from hating that song to 100% singing that song unintentionally on some random ish, right? Just because it's in your head and they don't put it there. Right? You just find yourself just bobbing your head to like, oh, I hate this. Why am I doing this? Like as soon as you catch yourself, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think social media does. It capitalizes on our emotions and make us think that we're thinking, when in fact we going live.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I think I agree with this, especially the last thing you said, that they think that it's capturing attention, when really, um, not as going live. Like people just becoming followers of that, you
Of
know.
that,
Yeah,
of the
uh,
live.
of the live, you know. But we encourage that, y'all. You know, follow us on our live and smash that like button. No, I'm talking about. Yeah, so we answering the question right now: does social media encourage reason thinking or emotional reactions? And I'm definitely rocking with the God Ali Dawood El at BKSOLFARM on this one. That emotional reactions are overwhelmingly the 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 reaction, the let me say the um effects. That's the word I'm looking for. The effects of a lot of the social media content. And I get it, you know, like over here we talk about reason, we talk about logic, we talk about rationale, we talk about being better versions of yourself, thinking, being accountable, you know, and it's just like so many people look at that and be like, you know, like why would I want to do that? Why would I, you know, but it's just like, okay, well, you know, but then they have this other side where it's like, okay, well, and I'm not picking on him, you know what I'm saying? He might hear me say this, but I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you. Somebody hear me say this. I'm not picking on you. But you said this is your words. A conversation was a person said to me, like, you know, they feel more comfortable saying the N-word around their friends and then they private setting in their free time, but they won't take that to work with them. You know? So to me, I'm like, what's the reason for that? You know, like, does that reasonable? That you're saying, oh, I don't want to show these people that this is how I react, you know, because I got to wear my mask. Like, I understand the wearing the mask, but most people can't articulate that though, you know. And when I say articulate, they can't say it.
They don't want to say that.
They don't want to say that. They don't want to say like, oh,
they don't want to tell the truth.
They don't say what we call it. What do we call it?
Code switching.
Yeah, they don't want to be like they code switch. So you tell them, oh, you a code switcher, and then they feel like you being offensive.
You being negative.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, nah, like, it's just embrace it and identify and stop just doing it, you know, blindly. Like, own it, know what you're doing when you're doing it, and you know, and then you may think about when you now home. All right, why do we use this word? Why does this word make me comfortable? A word I'm not even comfortable to say around these people. You know, so why is that? Why is that when they didn't invent the word, okay, but the way the word was supposed to be implied, all right, and the derogatory meaning that it has for the people who look like the people that's most comfortable using the word, and even add these things called real to it and this to it. Like, to me, that's not any level of reasonable thinking. That's just emotionally being emotionally attached to it because somebody said you're supposed to do this, or it's okay when you do it like this, but it's not okay when you do it like this. You know, but nobody has said, okay, well, what if we just make up our own word, a new word, a fresh start? A fresh start is always good.
Yeah.
Okay. I never had a problem with a fresh start. Okay. Why does that sound so crazy? Why does that sound so far-fetched? A fresh start. Let's just make a word, and that's what we're gonna call each other. And
then I gotta remember that, God. I gotta remember that word. then I gotta always. That's a lot of work.
But you got programmed the other word. The other word you got programmed with too.
Yeah, but I got programmed, so they help me. You know what I'm saying?
That's wild. That's super crazy though. You know.
No, it's just it's
that's super crazy.
That's what it comes down to. I think it's like it's super laziness, and it's the amount of effort and work that's gonna, like, I'm being dead ass when I say that they help me, because that's what in social media, the music, like everybody like they buried the word nigga and everybody saying the N-word as if it's different.
As if it's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. Like it's different, right? And
well, I'm saying the N-word, God, because for one, I practice to not use the word at all, and we on YouTube, and
yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So they censoring stuff now.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm noticing that watching other people's content, other content creators, that, you know, certain words are being censored. So I'm like, well, if YouTube is saying, well, you can come on here and make money, but you can't use the word, then why now I still even want to use it to...
Oh, no, you got to practice not using that so that it don't ever mess with your money. And
you see,
so that's them helping you,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
So,
like,
so that's, I mean, you play how you practice, right?
Yeah, you should.
You know, and a lot of people want to be their authentic self. Now, I always say I get online and I clown, you know, like you have to meet me in person in real life, but you know, sometimes it's some real stuff going to drip through here. If I'm sharing a personal life experience, if I'm in a moment saying something, you know, but sometimes we're gonna turn up too. So it's entertainment, right? But I am not the same person that you see on YouTube in real life. Okay. I can share some of my thoughts, but I'm not gonna share all my thoughts. You know, I'm not gonna share all my perspectives, you know, I'm not gonna share all of my personal stuff, you know, like even online, like you see DBCHEFTV, you know. What me and my wife do, me and my family do, celebration and stuff, it's none of your business. I don't want to share that with the people who was there. They get to share it. The people who my friends and family, they know because they was probably there or they got pictures in their phone, you know. So, you know, so and my reason is because we don't have privacy anymore. Privacy doesn't exist anymore. So logically, to me, it makes sense in my logic is to try to preserve some type of privacy that you do have. You know, it's not for the world to see. If everybody was supposed to see it, then they would have been there.
Facts.
You know, but yeah, I think that social media is definitely encouraging emotional reactions 100%. You know, y'all let us know what y'all think. Does social media encourage emotional reactions or reason thinking or emotional reactions? And you know, we always respond to all the comments, y'all. So, you know, let us know in the chat or in the comment section below, depending on when you're watching the show. Because we want to know, y'all. We want to know what you think about these questions too. All the questions good. Submit some questions, y'all. You know, let us know. Submit a word. Submit something. You know, submit something to us. Just put it in the comment section and let us know. Hey, why y'all don't talk about this? Or hey, why y'all don't talk about that? We find we could take that. You know, we live in a world where everybody has opinions and meanings. You know, so we open to it, man. We not. You know, like we always say, we are not the gurus. Okay. We learning. We've been dealing with these words, you know, like I think.
God, we look up words that we can't say live on the show. Like come on, like who does that? Like how many people literally show you their process?
Yeah, shout out to the chat before we jump into the flavor bombs. Who we got? We got Bubbling Brown in the building. Shout out to Bubbling Brown. Yes, hey. We couldn't hear you talking about the intro. Okay, just a little thumbs up. Who else we got in here? Lovely ATV. What up, Bug?
Hey.
All right. Yeah, we appreciate everybody for pulling up, hanging out with us, man. Y'all make sure to smash that like button. We're gonna go ahead and jump into tonight's flavor bombs.
Flavor Bombs, presented to you by DBCHEFTV.
So yeah, y'all. So tonight, flavor bombs. We have Americans struggling to pay credit card bills. We got a story that we're gonna go check out about that. Then we had a 75-year-old man causes a United flight scare. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but we got a story on that. And then billionaires are building their own schools. So we're gonna go and check that out too. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into these flavor bombs.
Today, we're talking about how Americans are falling even more behind on their credit card payments. It's not a good sign, Lance.
No, U.S. consumers, as we've been reporting for weeks now, are grappling with some of the highest prices in years. And as we've also been reporting, they've been running up hefty credit card bills just to put food on the table, cover their utility bills, you know, essentials. And now we get word from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York that credit card delinquencies are at a 15-year high, up 13%, or 13% rather, of all credit card accounts are now at least 90 days delinquent, at least as of the first quarter. As I say, that's the highest level we have seen since 2008, the financial crisis back then. Americans are now carrying a record $1.25 trillion in credit card debt, with average interest rates running about 21%. So you can see how people could fall behind on their bill paying, especially during economic uncertainty, as we are seeing now. This surge in delinquent credit card debt comes as we talked about just yesterday, Fidelity is warning that many people are now raiding their 401ks just to make ends meet. You know, we are now literally mortgaging our futures to survive the present. And that's a very scary economic place to be. And America's nearly $40 trillion national debt, well, that all but assures higher interest rates in the future and for years to come. It's a very, very difficult thing for consumers to have to be grappling with at the moment, because it also means that unpaid bills today can mean endless cycles of debt down the road.
What you got on that, guy? Unpaid bills today can turn into cycles of debt down the road.
Yo, buy my book, 1016-160 Self-Sustainability, right? Go cop any and every self-sufficient DIY, YouTube, whatever, right? Yo, like what he was saying about people paying their bills with their credit cards and not being able to afford to pay those things off every month, and actually incurring that interest on a light bill or a phone bill or whatever, like that's dangerous. And this is what I'm saying, right? I wasn't trying to do like a cheap commercial. Like if at some point you're gonna have to knuckle up, right? It's gonna, what do you say? The people are mortgaging their futures or whatever.
They tapping into their 401ks.
So at some,
to their retirement account to live for today.
At some point, right, you're gonna have to knuckle up and deal with reality in a survival way. And I'm saying, why not do that right now when you're still able-bodied, when you're still strong, when you're still looking good, when you still got a whole functioning brain that can help you, right? Like why use this physical right now to postpone your pain to when you're going to be riddled with arthritis and not able to move. Like that's all I'm saying. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like you got to knuckle up at some point, so do it now, right? Like that's what I got.
Yeah, I agree. You know, why wait until tomorrow, what you can do today? I will share, you know, I won't go into too much, but I have arthritis real bad.
Hey, me too. That's what I'm saying, God.
And you know, some people might be like, you know, why he don't work? Well, like the guy was saying, when I realized what my physical condition was going to be moving forward, when I was diagnosed late, when I was deemed a disabled veteran. Okay.
It's real, God. It's not funny, it's real.
What I realized was that I'm not going to be able to go and work in anybody's space that'll be beneficial for them, because I have too many stop and go, and I have too many things that need to be catered to me. Okay. So what I did was, like you said, using your mind. So prior to that, when I didn't know, when I was just pushing it to the max, like, you know, I ain't bleeding, so I ain't hurting. You know, I don't see blood or bone or nothing. I'm good. You know, what's the mission?
You ain't lying.
Right. So, and doing that, and, you know, not you okay, and that growing up, young, being a young black male, feeling like you got to be tough in that environment, and then going into the military where they instill a whole nother toughness in you, where you got to be all this extra tough, where you don't know how to be vulnerable, you don't want to say nothing wrong with you when this hurt or when that hurt, all of that stuff psychologically play a part on you. And then you get to the part with the real, where it's like, okay, you're gonna have bills and stuff like that too. You're gonna still want to do, if you're breathing, as long as you got a little bit of health, you can move around and navigate, pace yourself, but you still gonna want to do stuff. The thing is like, okay, well, you say, with Dag, you can't work, not in a capacity that you would enjoy. Like a lot of people that eat my food say, Pearl, you should open a restaurant. I can't run it. I can't get up every day and go put in the labor that needs to be for me to ensure that it is successful until it reaches a level for me to be able to train other people, trust them, and let them run it. So it would be difficult for me to even get to that level. Okay. And that's something I enjoy. All right. But when it comes to my bills and everything else, like that stuff got to get paid. So what we have to do is we have to have discipline. We have to say, okay, we have to prioritize things, and I don't have no problem with being on a budget. Yeah, I'm on a budget, but I ain't hurting for nothing because of that budget.
I would be hurting without it.
Yeah, I would be hurting without the budget, without the discipline of sticking sticking to it, and I also invest, because one of the things that I call him my online mentor says is put money to work for you. Don't always get stuck thinking that you got to get up and go work for some money. That's that's a thing that where we see those people having to dig from the 401ks and stuff, and keep on running them credit cards. Because I ran credit cards up. Okay, I had bad credit for about 10 years before. It took me a while to mess it up. It took me a quick time to mess it up. Like it didn't take no time to mess it up, but then it took time to get it back together and then develop a plan to say, okay, I'm not going to be, I don't like the way I was in that situation. And that's what I would share with people. You have to get to a point where you say, I don't like how I feel being in that situation. And then you have to do something about it, and then it'll change. If not, then, I always say this, is that you're comfortable. Those people are comfortable with struggling. They're comfortable with it because they won't be selfish enough to do what's necessary. So they won't, for themselves, that they won't have to go through that anymore.
Yeah. So they prefer the struggle.
Because a lot of people feel more comfortable with people who are doing the same thing, like, oh, I'm struggling too. We struggling too. I'll be like, nah, I ain't struggling. And if I need something, like, then is it in the budget or it's not? My needs are met. Making sure that your needs are met is the thing. And then also not living beyond your means. Not me saying, oh, I think I deserve this, but I know I can't afford it. Because if I have to struggle to keep it, then you can't afford it. It's hurting you to afford it. You can actually have something that you can afford, and then you'll have more to be able to enjoy things and not feel as stressed, financially stressed. So that's crazy though, that we're back to those numbers around 2008. It's a lot of numbers that we're back to around 2008 in the economy. But yeah, y'all check out Bows on the Table podcast and Lil Cash. Yeah, check out Bows on the Table podcast, and we got some stuff over there that helps those type of situations. If you're struggling managing your credit card debt, we got some information over there, but you're still gonna have to do the work. But it'll definitely give you a guide.
But we begin with a terrifying midair scare, a United pilot issuing a hijacking alert. The United flight heading to Minneapolis suddenly diverted to Madison, Wisconsin, after a 75-year-old man allegedly tried to storm the cockpit. Law enforcement officials on board that plane working together to subdue the man. Well, we're now learning about the investigation and that passenger. ABC's Ike Ajachi leading us off tonight.
Tonight, an investigation after authorities say a 75-year-old man repeatedly attempted to breach the cockpit door on a United Airlines flight from Chicago. 5 members of law enforcement on board struggling to subdue him in the aisle.
It's actually a situation where we might have to close the airfield due to potential hijack.
The Boeing 737 bound for Minneapolis with 147 passengers and 6 crew on board. But just before 9 p.m., all of that changed. The captain diverting the plane to Dane County, Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll land, take a left turn, just have law enforcement stand by the aircraft just in case, but I'm very confident with the 5 that we have on board back there.
Witnesses say sheriff's deputies immediately boarded the plane. Mike Rundle was traveling with his wife.
5 police officers came on the plane and asked the gentleman to stand up, put handcuffs on him, and walked him out, taking this very seriously. And of course you have to, if that, you don't really know what the intentions are of any person that might be, trying to get into a cockpit of a commercial airplane.
The remaining passengers resuming their flight after security checks.
Somebody with some sort of device and a sweatshirt that said bomb squad walked by. You're going to have to go to the gate so law enforcement could sweep the plane.
Dane County, Wisconsin authorities say the man appeared to be confused and in a mental health crisis. Now, the FBI is handling this investigation and say no charges are being pursued at this time.
Yeah, guy, I want to point out something real quick, though, before I get your take on this. 2 times they said law enforcement was struggling to subdue the 75-year-old gentleman, right? But then the young guy who was just there, who they interviewed, said they came on the plane, asked him to stand up, put the cuffs on him, right? So I'm trying to figure out from who do I believe? Do I believe the news reporter, or do I believe the young guy who was there who said the 5 people came on the plane, they asked him to stand up, put his hands behind his back? I would think that if he thought that there was a scuffle or anything like that, that he would have said that, right? He would have said, like, yeah, they had to, because subdue is, like we know what subdue is. We both done worked in law enforcement. Like subdue is
in pain. Yeah.
like that's not just, sir, can you stand up, put your hands behind your back? That's compliance. Yeah. So that's wild, but I mean, 75 years old. And I'm even thinking like, damn, I hope I'm that strong at 75. But I don't want to be in a situation where 5 people gotta subdue me. But I'm like, damn, at 75, like, how strong are you where you gotta be subdued, right? At 75.
Yo, God, I'm saying that video, right, is an example of social media creating a emotional reaction with some kind of like reason behind it, because they use the word hijacking scare, right? And then they finished it off with the guy had mental disorder or confused and no charges, right? So hijacking automatically triggers emotion that makes you think of a reaction of because you and I both know of logical reactions in an event of a hijacking, right? There's we know of the TTPs, right? We know of SOPs, we know, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody starts putting themselves in everybody starts imagining themselves in a situation. If I was there, I would have did this. That's them thinking, right? And they thinking that they're thinking logically because they're thinking, but it's all based off their emotions. Because if I was there, I'd have did this, because there ain't no way 75-year-old man, right, who apparently, and again, even with my man telling the story, unless that's just the part that they showed us, he didn't even describe what the man was doing on the plane to even create a hijacking scare.
He sure didn't. Because got to your point just now, because when they landed, he was in his seat. So that mean that the what do you call it? The stewardess, the airline attendants, the flight attendants,
yeah.
You know, I want to put some respect on them. The flight attendants were able to get this gentleman from the captain, from the cockpit, back to his seat and land the plane. And he was still in his seat when law enforcement came on to remove him. So that's why you're absolutely right. Like, it does not, social media, that's a clear example of social media not, you know, encouraging rational, reasonable thinking, you know, versus emotional, you know.
Right, like that's because that's like they put them words there, but then they did all that and they ended it with no charges, and the old man was confused.
He's 75.
He's 75. He trying to go to the bathroom.
You never know. You know, his dementia might have kicked in.
Snapped in at that very moment.
You know,
could have got spun around. You know, I mean, who knows, right? Like,
right. 75. He could have been dizzy. He could have been on medication that had him woozy. You know, and he like, man, I'm getting ready to go in my britches. You know,
I would have been satisfied had they said at the end, investigation still pending. But they said that he was confused and no charges. So that means throw it all out there. Like what did we land early for then?
That means that a family member needs to travel with him from now on.
Correct. You gotta travel. Yeah, correct.
That's all that is. Because if you can't, at the very least, you know, of course it means a doctor visit. We're gonna need to get you a CAT scan and a brain MRI, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they ain't already had that and they already knew that maybe he was just in transit going to see some more family.
And that's why I'm saying they got to know that, which is why they got too confused.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't put up scare and hijacking and then end with confused without them knowing that he said the 75-year-old man probably got some kind of form of dementia.
Because they put the sauce on it. They say hijack.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, and I'm just thinking, even looking at the calmness of the young guy who was who they interviewed, I'm thinking, okay, I see this young guy, you know, I don't never judge a book by its cover, but I'm thinking if anybody was on that plane and thought that elder was a serious threat, like, how many passengers do it take to just be like, come on, sir, we gonna get you back to your seat? Like, you know, I mean, you don't even have to be like, you don't have to subdue them. You know, you don't even have to subdue them. You just be like, sir, come on, sir. You know, like, not today. Can I help you? Like, what is it? What you need? You know, like, maybe more of that in trying to care for our elders, you know, instead of just quick to put the beats on them, trying to, you know, get a medal or something, you know. But yeah, man, hopefully that elder made it to their destination safely, and his family and everybody got him to where that'll be worked out for the next time he's traveling.
Billionaire tech entrepreneur John Marshall moved to Miami Beach in 2014 and had 2 daughters. And when one turned 4, he had an idea.
I think the more that we peeled the onion back of what we wanted in a school, the more that we thought we should do our own.
Base Camp 305 was born.
The school opened back in 2019 and 3 years later was able to open a permanent location here.
Now, with about 50 children, the private school promises a different kind of curriculum, one centered around entrepreneurship, students learning through projects and presentations, as well as a heavy tech focus, utilizing robots and 3D printers. And this school is just one example of the uber wealthy creating a new choice for their community. In Palm Beach, there is the Green School, created by real estate developer Jeff Green, and there's real estate developer Stephen Ross's opening of Windgrove Academy, set for 2028. NBC6 reported earlier this year, WeWork's founder Adam Newman's plans to create a private Jewish school in the El Portal neighborhood, with incentives like the Step Up program, which Governor Ron DeSantis established in 2023, that provides families an almost $8,000 scholarship per child to be applied to non-public schools in the state. Public schools are seeing a drop in enrollment, and most private schools are at capacity, which is why for founders like Marshall, it's not so much about the money, which for his school is about $30,000 in tuition, but the lack of options available.
Entrepreneurs are coming in and others are coming in with a view of kind of what they think the world is going to. And I think that's really positive, because there's nothing wrong with adding more dynamics. When you're building a company, you always kind of look at your neighbors competitively. I think when you're building schools, you kind of want the water level to rise for everybody.
But in order to create the school, you need top-tier faculty. The ones at Base Camp 305 have been hand-selected based on their certifications and qualifications. They're also paid more than double the typical private school salary, upwards of $80,000. Another is the land needed to build a school.
The land prices are astronomical, but just getting something done takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and to a certain extent, a lot of friction, with the community and the city. I think that's been a big challenge for us.
Just a block away from their first location,
Just got approval from the historical board where we're going to take this building down, rebuild the facade, and then use this area for a turf field where this white building is.
They also, after 5 years of back and forth, are finally constructing their third location in the beach to help their school, which is currently serving only pre-K through 5th grade, expand to upper levels. The multi-million-dollar project is set to be ready for fall, and with only a few spots left for next year's enrollment, Marshall is hoping parents like him, looking for options, see the value in the new schools coming to town.
We're world-class in beaches and restaurants and festivals. People should think of Miami Beach, especially in the States and worldwide, as we should be world-class in schools. There's no reason we shouldn't be.
Your thoughts, God? I don't have no babies in school. I got an opinion.
My thoughts are, firstly, my very first thought is, I could have swore like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and a whole bunch of other billionaires just got busted for opening up their own schools, seemingly doing the exact same thing. But maybe I'm incorrect. But also what the second thing I got to say is $30,000 a year. You know what that showed me just now? Besides how much it costs, like the money, it showed me them supporting their interests, because they didn't have anything made up or brand new or super scientific or spectacular, right? They actually made time to support their interests and to focus on that, right? So every parent that decides to have children, right? The only way to combat money is your time, your sweat equity, right? You got to put in the time to learn, to teach building blocks. You got to put in the time to teach those activities, because like, again, like, it's not like they had like a young astronaut program and they those children was getting like special training. They were getting specialized training. They was getting focused training on them and their needs and the desires of their parents for what they think the future needs, right? And that's critically thinking, productive young people that are adaptive and resourceful and not ashamed to admit like what works and what doesn't work, right? Like they can eat the meat and spit out the bones in your face and it's not offensive, right? It just is. right? And we call that arrogance. But what we learned when we did arrogance comes with an economical number, and billionaires have the right to be arrogant, right? Because they have supported their interests, and they can literally do what the hell they want to do, right? Like start their own schools and teach their children. Like you want to teach them French, you want to send them to France for a couple months to go be immersed in French. You want to, speak Spanish, we're going to send you to Spain for a couple months to have you immersed in that or whatever, right? Like it's just a matter of supporting your interests and being resourceful enough to do that. And resourceful doesn't always mean economic. It could very well be sweat equity, right? Because that may be all you could afford. And that should be enough for you.
Oh no, sweat equity is what they talk about when you go to prison.
Yo, God.
they told me to use with the young boy.
Oh, they did.
We can use the sweat equity.
They did tell the young man that. They did tell him that.
So they said we can use the jet sweat equity. I said, man, that made me not even want to use it no more. Dang.
Oh God, like I swear, I thought that was like some AI meme stuff the whole time. I was like, they use those words for real, like in court.
Yeah. But
I ain't even like that though.
Yeah, I know. Cause we rock with sweat equity. That's doing the work. That's where you may not be getting paid for it, but when the money do start coming, somebody is going to compensate you. It's not going to be like, oh, well, you did all this work. Well, thanks for working. Kick rocks. No. Unless you go to prison, then it's break rocks, and that's it. You get 3 hots in a cot. But for all y'all thugs and trappers of the year and everything else, and ratchets and turn ups and all that, and I'm not the pot calling the kettle black. I'm somebody black who used to cook up in the pot. Okay. and I'm saying that ain't it. Everybody, I know I have a lot of friends that have been incarcerated, spent significant amounts of time, and family that have spent significant amounts of time incarcerated. And a lot that, rest in peace, are no longer with us. So yeah, that's not the move. But when it comes to the schools, I think it's a phenomenal thing. Another thing that you said about the billionaires being able to do what they want to do because they have, I do think it's about the money that you have to have. We in America, you have to have money to do everything. We got a credit. People got a credit crisis. People be in debt because they don't budget their money correctly, because we live beyond our means, because our priorities aren't aligned in certain places and things. It's so many determining factors that you could put in that pot to cook that stew up. But always, I think that people on a less higher level of economics, like middle class, public school folks, I think the only thing that is stopping us from being able to see that manifest like that schools curriculum change is the desire from the parents. Because I think if the parents wanted that, I think if you had like the things like you were just talking about, sending people abroad and stuff, that is fantastic. Because I know right there in South Beach, they have an international school with students from abroad come to school in South Beach. It's right there by the hotel where I stay at. You gotta figure out which one that's at, right? But the school right around the corner. All right, one of my favorite spots to go and tiptoe through the sand. But we talked about this before, where like nobody's pushing for a curriculum of foreign languages on the public school level. Correct. Where the child learns a foreign language, where like on orientation or like kindergarten, they tell the parents pick one, and then with no purpose at all, but your child needs to learn to be bilingual because it'll help them, you know, in travel. It'll help them in international business. It'll prepare them for a lot of things that, like the guy was saying, you know. And what that does is now, you know, and like I said, I'm not a parent, but I could see what I would do. You know, it's only my shoes, my opinion, you know, because this ain't fact based. It's a theoretical. But what it looks like is now my child comes home and they have to learn this language. So now we writing everything in the house, you know, so I get to learn it too. So it's something that me and my child get to do together to grow. That also will help me, because now maybe I'm, you know, out of the workforce, so I want to go get a job, or I got to hustle or something. Now I can go talk to different people. It opens up my market too, to get people to buy. If I'm selling something, you know, if I make pies or something, now I don't just have to go to, you know, even when I go to the fair and set up my pie stand, you know, I can come on stars, you know what I'm saying? I can, you know, come over here and buy a pie, you know? So if I could do that, then it still opens up so much more. And then for the child, that human being, that's that jit that's going to grow up to be an adult. Now, when they go to college or when they begin to travel, when they go work, it removes this feeling of being in places where you don't know if you're being talked about. Like, you know, the sisters always go and get their feet and their nails and stuff done, you know, and it's memes and stuff. That's how we got to the memes where the Korean or the people of Asian descent who are in there, whatever their nationality is, that's running it, you know. That's how we got to these memes where people don't know what they're talking about. They don't know if they're getting talked about. So you go in there like, yeah, you want to pay these people to do this service, but you feel uncomfortable with them talking around you, you know? And that's wild to me, that like you would go and spend your money somewhere where you feel uncomfortable because you're more concerned about how you're going to look afterwards than the whole experience of beautifying, you know?
Oh my, yeah.
So, you know, I think that something like that, I think it would start at that elementary level, but you need parents to want that. You know, you need to for them to want them to be not just hoping that they be one out of 400,000 and make it to a sports league or something. And then we don't have to budget our money no more, because now we can just blow through their cash and be reckless. And they can be somebody who fumbled the bag, and, you know, because they didn't know how to say no. You know, and then it's just repeating a cycle, you know, it's just repeating a cycle. So, you know, that's my take on it, you know, in a perfect world, but we know this world ain't perfect. So
you've just been Flavor Bomb, and now back to our show.
Yeah, y'all, we've been smoking on Reason tonight. Make sure to smash that like button and also share the content. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. We are at our fifth and final question of the evening. Is the word reason bad, good, or misunderstood? The God Ali Dawood at BKSOLFARM.
Reason is good, God. Reason is good. I didn't see anything that I didn't like about Reason. Or that made me really confused, right? Where I couldn't understand what it is, what the goal was, or the intent of the idea. I will say though, colloquially, how we use it, how the people use it commonly is misunderstood, right? Which is why we would like to have a conversation with Dr. Mark Lamar Hill about that, because if we all using it differently and we all mean something differently, and there's no common meaning to where we can all say, everybody, if you are on these blocks and you say this word, this is what it means, this is how you will use it. But if you go up the street, if you go to another neighborhood, go to a different city, and they use it, they're not using it the same exact way. Like you need, like you just that's confusing. You know, meanings are confusing. So yeah, I think the way we use it is misunderstood, but I like the word. That's what I got.
Definitely, I think it's unanimous across the Cigarden panel. It's definitely a good word. Definitely misunderstood for all of the reasons you just stated. And yeah, that's all. That's all I have in closing. Like it's good, and it's misunderstood, and you explained it. So there's nothing else to add to that. I want to thank everybody for pulling up tonight, man. Shout out to Bubbling Brown, and shout out to Lovely ATV. What up, Bug? We appreciate everybody for pulling up, hanging out with us. Yeah, that's all we got. We have been smoking on the word reason tonight, and we had 5 questions. What do you think of when you hear the word reason? Are people naturally reasonable, or is reason something we learn? What is the difference between having a reason and making an excuse? Does social media encourage reason thinking or emotional reactions? And is the word reason bad, good, or misunderstood? Y'all know what to do. Let us know in the comment section below. We're going to respond to everything and all things. Also, like we said, y'all, send us some, send us some words that you want us to do. Just put them in the chat, put them in the comment section. And even if you got some questions, shoot us questions and stuff too. We'll talk about it. We ain't got no problem with it. It'll eliminate my brain from having to go through some stuff but I don't need it easy. We just want to, y'all showing up, participating. So we want to hear from you. So yeah, on that note, everybody have a peaceful, positive, and productive start to your week. It is June, y'all. It's June, summertime, summertime, summertime. Feels like summer. Yeah, so definitely stay hydrated. And stay safe, y'all. So we'll see y'all next time right here Sunday, 8 p.m. East Coast time. Cigar Sundays live. Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, and the guy Ali Dawood El at BKSOLFARM. And we are the Cigarden Panel. Until next time, peace, God.
Peace, God.
This whole publication is all about going from nowhere to somewhere, right? Being able to stand on something so that you can travel in peace, right? So BKSOLFARM.com, 1016, 160 self-sustainability. Jump on a list and get yourself together, right? Because it is irresponsible to not even know what responsibility means. So get yourself together, food, clothing, and shelter, protection of that, support your interests, and live.
Love ain't always easy, and we won't stop until we get it right. So bring that ass to the Love Speak podcast. Subscribe today and let your love speak at TLS Podcast. The Love Speak, now streaming on YouTube. If it's Friday night and you don't have a date, then brunch with the fellas is your spot, so don't be late. We go up at 9 p.m. with the trending topic news. Smash the like, comment, subscribe, and share the content. Don't be rude at Brunch Fellas, now streaming on YouTube. You are the key to your financial freedom, so unlock your inner wealth with financial fundamentals at Bows on the Table. Subscribe today and never miss a meal at Bows Podcast. Bows on the Table, now streaming on YouTube. At the Veteran Kettle Podcast, we thank you for your service, support, and sacrifice to our country. Listen to real stories of adversity and triumph as we give our best to honor our vets. Subscribe today and watch episodes now streaming on YouTube at TVK Podcast, The Veteran Kettle. Sign up for the newsletter and shop merch and clothing at DBCHEFTV.com.